Hi, Mystery Recapped here. Today, I am going to explain an American science fiction comedy film called Sleeper. Spoilers ahead, watch out, and take care. In the futuristic world of 2173, scientists find a pod in the middle of the woods that has a human inside of it. The current cruel government doesn't allow experiments outside its agenda, but a group of scientists decides to open the pod illegally. After taking off the aluminum foil from the person's face, they reveal a young man who has been in cryosleep for over 200 years. His name is Miles Monroe, a jazz musician and owner of a health food store in New York City in 1973. 200 years ago, he walked into a hospital for a routine operation, but it went horribly wrong and ended up with him being trapped inside a pod for 2 decades. Somehow, Miles is still wearing his glasses from years ago after the revival, but the doctors do not question it. He has difficulty standing, which is expected since he hasn't been on his feet for a long time. But he surprises the scientists by learning to walk backwards right after being revived. Since the government is strictly against opening the pod, if the guard catches them, they will be punished. In the new era, criminals are punished with a brain simplification process. They are put into a machine and turned into a vegetable. The scientist duo has to quickly get him out of the facility. However, with Miles eating gloves and walking around like a drunk man, it is a difficult task. The guards eventually find them, but the scientists make it seem like Miles is one of them to get out of the situation. The plan works, even though Miles does many questionable things in front of the guards. The scientists then get him inside the futuristic balloon-like vessel and bring him to their secret hideout. A few days later, Miles relearns to walk, converse, and eat, but he still doesn't know he's in the future. When the scientists relay the news to him, the man freaks out. Everyone he knows has been dead for over 100 years, but he is the most worried about his house rent, which has been due for 2,000 months. When Miles shows interest in returning home, he is told about the harsh world of 2173. A decade ago, the world was at a nuclear war that caused destruction mankind had never seen. Millions of people died and billions were injured. Cities and countries were destroyed, and a single government took over the entire world. What once used to be New York is now just an area between 2 new cities. The district they are in right now is the southwestern United States. The information is too much for Miles to take. The scientists understand this and ask him to take a 2-week rest until he fully recovers his strength. They will have to stay low because if the government finds out about his existence, it won't end well for all 3 of them. Miles also finds out that an anti-government organization called the Underground is slowly making its way up to kill the dictator and restore peace in society. For the next few days, Miles stays at the headquarters, getting accustomed to the new world of technologies. The scientists use him to find out more about the people of the past and their way of life. One morning, while having breakfast with the scientists, he is introduced to science's most advanced invention, the servant robots. They are capable of communicating with humans, taking orders, and doing all household tasks at exponential speed. Miles will be taken to the Western Land in a few days. When he inquires why, it is revealed that the main reason he was revived is to be an asset to the Underground. He has to help them overthrow the government, since he is the only member of the dystopian society without a known biometric identity. Hence, he is untrackable by guards. Miles is not a fan of the idea, and insists that he is not the revolutionary type. However, he doesn't get a chance to protest, because seconds later, the hideout is surrounded by guards sent by the government. The scientists quickly ask Miles to go to the Western Land and take it upon themselves to stall the guards while he runs away. He gets on a chair chopper that is supposed to fly him, but instead, it hangs him from a tree. The guards use advanced technology to get to him, but in the end, Miles manages to lose them by hiding in the back of a van. It is filled with futuristic robots and their spare parts. When the guards check the van, he sits in a corner, disguised as one of the robots. The face paint doesn't do a good job to hide the fact that he is human, but the guards assume he is an ugly robot, which works in his favor. Eventually, he is delivered to his owner, Luna. She is a 22nd century poet and artist who lives a lavish life. She throws extravagant parties every week and owns everything she wants in life. Miles sees the news about an ancient alien escaping from the lab and figures out they are talking about him. Luna doesn't really like his face and decides to get it exchanged next week. For now, he is asked to cook a meal for her guests, who will be here any minute. Back in 1973, Miles was a decent cook, but the new ingredients of the future confuse him. He creates a brown explosion of pudding that keeps on spreading on its own. He also receives the overcoats from the guest and accidentally burns them in the debris disposal pod. While the guests enjoy themselves, the pudding grows in size and has to be beaten to death to be stopped. Then, Luna presents everyone with a silver ball, which is a new way of getting high. Touching the ball is like taking recreational pills. Miles is asked to pass the ball to everyone, which in turn causes him to get high. Eventually, he starts fighting for the ball and hugging a guest, but since no one is in their right mind, they do not think much of it. Luna and one of her guests get into the Orgasmatron, a device that is used to get intimate without having to do all the work. They come out a few seconds later, more relaxed than ever. A week later, Luna takes Miles to the nearest robot repair center to get his head exchanged with a prettier one. A nervous Miles is placed on a platform and is seconds away from being killed. Eventually, he gives up the act and runs away, revealing that he is the wanted alien. The guards immediately follow him, but he gets away from them. Knowing that he cannot survive the outside world on his own, he asks Luna for help, but she refuses to listen to him. When she tries alerting the guards, he reluctantly has to abduct her. In the following scene, Luna is tied to a tree in the middle of the woods. Miles takes off her gag, but no matter how loud she screams, no one is coming to save her. Miles explains to her that he is not a criminal, and everything that happened was out of his control. He desperately needs to meet the people of the underground, who Luna thinks are criminals. She still doesn't support him and is eager to run away. A while later, she gets hungry and demands Miles get food for her. He goes looking for it on a farm where human-sized food and vegetables are grown. Strangely, they are also used to generate power. After struggling to pick the massive strawberry for a while, he returns to Luna with a piece of celery and a giant banana. At night, Luna calms down after having a bite of the massive celery. She is accustomed to enjoying lavish commodities and doesn't see the fault in the government. She pretends to be on Miles's side, but plans to call the police the first chance she gets. The following day, they take shelter in a stranger's house, pretending that their car broke down. Luna goes to the bathroom and calls the police, who ask her to stall the alien until they get there. Luna makes Miles wear a spacewalk suit and blows it so he cannot move. When the police arrive, they arrest Luna first, claiming that she has been infected by the alien. She realizes that the government rules are a joke and decides to help Miles. The couple jumps into the river and deflates the spacesuit that helps them escape. Eventually, they end up in a cave that holds an ancient Volkswagen that still works. Using the vehicle, they drive to the west to meet the underground. On the way, the two talk about their childhoods and bond with each other. On reaching the destination, they dump the car into a lake before making their way to an abandoned house. At night, they talk about the vast change in the way people make love in the past and the present. Luna suggests they get inside the Orgasmatron, but Miles is a fan of more traditional methods. Before they agree on what they should do next, the guards arrive and arrest Miles. Luna saves herself by hiding inside a secret compartment in the wall. Miles is taken to a reassimilation lab where his memory will be erased to turn him into an obedient citizen of the regular modern society. The process of brainwashing begins by making him think he is Miss USA 2173. He is made to go against a bunch of models and is also given a crowning ceremony. After that, his sense of identity is slowly stolen by making him go through several tests. By the end of the week, he turns into a complete modern man who could die and kill to protect the government's ideologies. Meanwhile, Luna has been living in the wild for the past week. She hunts and gathers nuts for food, something she wouldn't have dreamt of doing in her former way of life. One day, while wandering through the woods, a man kidnaps her. He is the leader of the rebellious group named Erno. He He brings her to his camp, where several rebels like him are plotting ways to dethrone the current dictator. With them, Luna learns a lot about survival and the drawbacks of the government. One day, Miles walks into his room to see Luna waiting for him. She has come to rescue him, but Miles doesn't remember her at all. Alongside her, the people of the underground have also hidden in the room. They forcefully abduct him and bring him to the underground camp. Erno thinks there is still a way to bring Miles back to his normal self by making him relive his trauma. For that, they act like people from the 19th century to make him remember his childhood. But even after reciting an entire script of what a typical family would say in the 90s, Miles doesn't remember anything. Suddenly, he falls unconscious and stays like that for a few days. When he finally wakes up, he is back to his normal self. Luna tells him how wonderful Erno and his people have been to her, which makes Miles jealous. To distract her from the leader, Miles suggests they quickly attack the dictator and fulfill their purpose. They pose as doctors of the National Lab and sneak into the building. The duo is extremely nervous, which causes frequent arguments between them, but they somehow manage to stay unnoticed. Miles puts his life in danger to steal 2 lab coats while dangling from a window. The main group of scientists believes Miles is the special doctor who has been recently appointed to the facility for a specific task. They are taken to a room where they are told what their job is. It turns out that 1 year ago, the dictator died in an explosion caused by protesters. The only part of him that survived was his nose. Since bioengineering has developed exponentially over the years, they plan to create an entire human out of the nose, using its cells. The doctors believe Miles is the man hired to do the job. This makes the task easier for the duo because they no longer have to kill the dictator and only have to destroy the nose. The two sneak into the lab, but find out they are being watched by the other doctors, waiting to see the miracle happen. Miles and Luna know nothing about cells and start bluffing nonsense. The others soon realize they are trying to steal the nose and chase them, but before getting caught, Miles takes the nose hostage and runs away. Outside, he throws it under a bulldozer, ending the dictator's life once and for all. In the end, Miles and Luna are together, ready to return to the camp. Luna thinks Erno will be a great political leader, but Miles doesn't feel the same. At this rate, they will be stealing Erno's nose next month, because all political leaders are horrible. He asks Luna to forget about this and focus on him. The movie ends as the two share a kiss. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.